What's up, everybody? It's Scott from MTG Mind Games, and today we're going to try something new. I just wanted to record a little rant. I have a huge series of these rants that I want to go through, and our first one is going to deal directly with the YouTube drama that's been going on. I'm not trying to take part in the drama, but I just wanted to share with what I feel is my perspective on what Pucatrade is. So this could be, for better or worse, a critical review of Pucatrade and how it pertains to the normal individual. I've never taken any kind of sponsorship. That would have been amazing. I mean, I'm just a lowly level channel or whatever. So I've used that service quite a bit, and we'll get into it a little bit. But my main point is that Pucatrade is pretty much a hot potato. It's just a basic game of hot potato, and here's why. So you have one person. They go into Pucatrade and you get your base points and things like that when you first sign up. And that person sends out a card. They foot the bill on shipping, so that's issue number one, where there is initial cost for you if you want a card, or even just to get points. There's tons of different ways to get points now, but that's step one. Person number two, the person who's receiving the card, they give out the points from having fulfilled on their want list. They get the product, and hopefully it wasn't lost. Cool. You've successfully completed a Pucatrade transaction. That give and take of that system, it's all good. So now we go to the next step. You've got that first person who got points from trading off their card. And now these virtual points have no real value other than to use to obtain more cards on your own want list. So you have to go and set up your own want list and hope that someone comes along and fulfills that need. Other people who also want cards are going to need to set up their own want list, and so on and so forth. So then Pucatrade ends up taking points and putting them in escrow, and there's this whole back and forth transaction. You can now also buy points on their system or invite people. And if they set up an account, you get given, 200, 100, whatever have you, amount of points. Now, people like, MTG headquarters and these other people who have sponsorships, that's all good and fine. And I don't fault anyone for taking a sponsorship from anyone. That's not what this is about. Those people have also come forward and said that they've received Puca points from the admins and people for their sponsorships and things like that. Now, if I'm misquoting, I'm just kind of taking it at a glance. I'm not trying to call out Jeremy or nothing like that. He's a good guy. He's another YouTuber. No big deal. So all types of these ways that you can get points will result in a financial degradation of just how many points are out there. It's like the Fed printing tons of money and inflating the system. We've all seen what can happen to a financial system in that regard. But before we dive off to the deep end, let's look one more time at another situation. So let's say you send a card. The recipient waits their 5 business days and the card never gets there. Shipping shows that it was received and sent to the post office, and somewhere in that chain, it got lost. You message an admin and you get the issue resolved. Both parties get points. Now get that. Both parties will get points. An admin comes in, and in order to keep both parties happy and not stifle the system, they issue you back your points from escrow, and then they give points to the person who was supposed to have gotten points. This creates something like an imaginary inflation of points that will be introduced to keep Pucatrade growing and functioning properly. Now, here's the scary part. Think of what happens with the game Hot Potato. You're passing this thing around, the potato, and it burns your hands, so you pass it off. Similar to how money would kind of burn a hole in your pocket, that could be the points. And you get some relief when you pass it off. You get a card. But when the music stops, or maybe this is musical chairs type deal, you don't want to be left with the potato. Otherwise, you lose. This is what Pucatrade will become eventually. This is one of the main reasons why people like Rudy from Alpha Investments have said they won't even touch it with the 10-foot pole, because eventually you do get burned. There's no point to be part of a system like this if you aren't doing it on the level that Rudy might do it, or one of these, heavier investors. They're looking to do it to move massive amounts of product and create a form of business out of it. There's no point to do that. If you're doing it small time, that's all good. That's I believe that's similar to like what the guys at Pucatrade wanted it to be. They never really anticipated it taking off for this massive amounts of dual lands being traded and things like that. It seems all cool and fine, but that's why they only really had like a gold tier, and once you get past silver tier, there's nothing really that beneficial in gold tier, honestly. But we'll go on a little more here. I don't mean to just rant and take it away here. Now, getting back to more of the information that these YouTubers have talked about, I'm not saying Pucatrade is dead. On the contrary, I've utilized Pucatrade to great success in my own collection and in trades. After I fell in love with the system, I dove in and purchased a silver membership to start trading. First, I started small, but once I realized I had to be silver in order to access what I really wanted, I paid the price because I wanted judge foils. In my area, I don't have a lot of magic judges, let alone level 2s, so the chances that you'll come across a judge promo sword or a judge promo Crucible of Worlds for your collection in just normal casual trading is next to never. That said, I thought the idea was great. I'd been playing forever and had tons of $3 to $5 cards that were modern playable that everyone wanted, so I gained tons of value from trading those off through Pucatrade. All of a sudden, my bulk had inflated my collection over $3,000, so I went shopping. At first it was difficult, but then I started looking at people's profiles. People were gaining intrinsic trading potential from changing their name to, quote, 10% bonus on wants, etc., with notes in their description and in their profile on how they would send extra points if you wanted to trade with them first. Kind of like the bounty system. And that was great. I thought it was awesome. A self-regulated system where you could reward someone for helping you first like a higher bidder because they wanted it more. The only problem with this comes from the vast majority of people who aren't paying for subscriptions to Pucatrade. You can have a free account, and majority of people do, but you can't send points to utilize this bonus system as a free user. So this alienated the vast majority of people. Who would want to trade with a basic user anymore? So, of course, the back end started to die. Then people caught on, and a lot of people became silver, and things started to balance out a little bit. But then slowly the trading market started to change. There was a run on everything from expeditions to shock lands, fetch lands, anything that would be utilized that majority of Magic players tend to just think they should speculate on. Anything the rest of the world was speculating on was immediately wanted by pretty much everyone, so that stagnated the trading market. If you wanted something, say, like a Deadeye Navigator, no one was going to send it to you because that's just a normal card, a normal trade, and not worth more than $1, not even worth sending on a stamp, so why bother? But I digress. There are all sorts of issues that arose from normal metagame trading. The true problem began when people started to realize a very real fact. The problem is the points. Puca points have no real value away from the Pucatrade system. They're dependent solely on a value based on how the system works. If the system starts to not work well for the average user, hence the free users, they will leave. And when they leave and have a negative experience because they're not able to get basic cards, less trading happens. So the pay-to-play user started to realize more and more that people had lots and lots of points. And despite what was being put in your wants, you rarely ever got them fulfilled unless you were just throwing tons of extra Puca points at people. So for a little while there, we began to see a total degradation of the trading market on Pucatrade. Then Pucatrade had announced their update, and hoping it would rein in everyone and get everyone super pumped for new life into the system, and I guess it didn't pan out so great. A lot of YouTubers got really vocal and started saying a lot of negative stuff, and that all resulted in a mass jump off from the YouTube community. Now these were their primary vocal points in the community, going out and saying, hey, go use Pucatrade. Now just to get back to basics, I'm small fries compared to these guys. I've got barely 300 subscribers now, and while I really appreciate all the likes and interactions I get from my viewers, my brand is considered a casual one, which is perfectly fine with me. I've invested a lot into this channel over time, and I had even abandoned it due to lack of motivation and a need to generate real money via full-time work. You know, real life stuff. But what I'm sharing with all of you are just the facts from my personal point of view. I was never provided any sponsorship from Pucatrade, and had I been, I probably would have really accepted it. I mean, I'm human, everyone else is too. So taking a holier than thou stance, like, come on, give me a break, guys. None of your viewers are falling for that crap. Let's be real here. When we all had that mind-blowing boom moment, when we realized that it was a hot potato trading market, and those never work, we all started distancing ourselves from Pucatrade. But it's just like everything else. Too much of a good thing never lasts. Rudy from Alpha Investments is 1000% right in this case. You have to listen to what he says in this. Unregulated points or injecting funds within the system without being regulated, that's just stupid. At some point, when all the trading is halted and someone is left with all the points, that person is going to be truly screwed. And when that happens, I don't want to be part of Pucatrade. If it never happens and they figure out a solution to that very foreseeable problem, I will be there applauding them, looking to pick up some more judge promos and reopen my account. But until then, I've used all of my points, canceled my account, and I'm wishing them the best. As far as the YouTube Magic community is concerned, I really hope you guys just learn to let crap go, because it's not worth it. Nothing beats good old trading at your local card game store with your friends and utilizing services like TCG Player to sell cards you want to offload. Or if you're fortunate enough to live near an upcoming Grand Prix, bring your cards, prepare them in a long 880 count box, calculate them all on TCG Player, and go to different vendors. Make them all offers. Something like, hey, I have this box with this exact list of cards, while handing them the list with the total printed for that day, and then follow it up with, will you give me 60% in cash value on these cards? If they say no, at least you tried. But many will most likely say yes. You've done the footwork for them. They just need to push the product all weekend, and you may have just helped them. I used to do this repeatedly to get massive influxes of cash. You can do it usually 2 to 3 times a year if you're trading pretty often. It's great. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed my little rant here and that it was informative for you. This has been Scott with MTG Mind Games. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section below. Like, subscribe, and keep playing Magic.